feature that. Oh my God! Are you kidding me? Cooler of the month. I don't see how doesn't just lose 8.5K here on this hand. Welcome here to the 5-5 action. Slicer here with a raise to 75. We're going to get Santa and Chaz. John with the suited ace 4 variety. Not feeling like doing that much. So 10's here over this board, unless JC is somewhat connected there with hearts, which is not unreasonable. We've got a pot here. So JC leads here for 200. Slicer not going to raise off of this. We'll flat in position. Pot of about 217. Let's we try to guess what JC has here. With no hearts out of any of the cards that we saw, if anybody else had hat scanned, I'm more inclined to believe that that may have been something he chose to let with. Maybe fives. Now he's got to decide here what this bet means. Bet at 475, just under half size pot. I would think if he had a flush draw, like it would be a quicker decision here, unless he was potentially thinking about going for the check raise, which I think against a player like Slicer's caliber is not necessarily the line that he's going to go. So if he perhaps decided to defend with 7-5, it's totally reasonable here that he could be sitting here with 7s over. So is going to put a nice size bet here of at least 2,000. Is this some hand that JC is attempting to turn into a bluff here that reasonably makes sense? Because he knows JC is probably a smart enough player to do. Yeah, I think it was a 7. I did not see it actually flipped up here what he actually had, but whatever. What was it, a 7x? It was 6-9. Nice. They're like, okay, I guess that's where we're at here. Oh my goodness here. Carolyn with aces. Slicer going to 3-bet in the cutoff. Bones has picked up ace king. Here we go. There's going to be a shove here with a couple of rockets now here for Carolyn. Bones now looking at 1.6 more to call and probably realizing he's going to be in a tough spot and even more difficult than he thinks. So Carolyn putting the Pokemon out in the middle. $5,000 pot here for super producer Carolyn. Is Jack 5 still looking good? Still looking good. Is going to survive the first board. So a couple of the jacks out. A king. Uh-oh. Going to need a king and a king alone. It's not going to happen. So winner for Carolyn. And if there's anybody here that you the chat pro at home should be rooting for, it is super producer Carolyn. Has been behind the scenes for all of these. And you know what? She's been worthy and deserving of being able to cooler somebody. The binding that keeps us together here on the TCH live stream. I cannot wait to read the comments after this. I'm going to get myself something special to eat. I'm going to wait till tomorrow afternoon, scroll up, and I can't wait to see what you guys have to say. Oh, okay, here we go. We've got a raise by Slicer with 3-bet by Chaz. He calls and flops a set over Chaz. Oh, Chaz is... King's here, the overpair on the queen high board. He does have backdoor clubs, and maybe a hope of spiking a king. Slicer here with a set of 6s. Here with draws galore. But smart enough to know how to navigate these post flop. Jack peels, so Chaz could be concerned of a lot of queen jacks, queen 10s that I think he knows that if he puts any bet in here that it's going to likely make it difficult for him to get away from the hand necessarily if all of a sudden a really kind of actionless card comes here on the river that if he's piled a bunch of money here on the turn, then all of a sudden it puts him in a little bit of a pickle. So 1.8K bet here by Slicer. Can't imagine Chaz is going to get away from this unless he really doesn't like what the river brings. It's going to be a 5. So 7-9 gets there, 7-4, 10-9, Queen Jack, Queen 8, Queen 6, Queen 5, maybe a set of 8s are the hands that Chaz can put together as like, oh, if he's got this, I'm crushed. But for a single pair hand here in a 6.4K pot, the Slicer goes super polarizing. Well, I guess he can't. So if he's got 3.7, he can only really bet here is full stack at 3.7. And now 3.7 into a pot of 10,000 gets to be just so confusing here from Chaz's perspective. Count out a 3.9K river bet after a recount. Now, Chaz has to think, like, if Slicer had Queen 10, you'd think he would just check back here, right? Would he go for it here with Ace Queen? If he had, like, if Chaz got the King of Clubs, so it's, you know, he would think that if Slicer had a hand like King 10 of Clubs, like this would be, but since he's got that, that takes away some of the combos that he could perceive that there could be some bluffs in there. So easy for us from our perspective to see that it's a set here by Slicer with full comfort, but Nick from Yuma saying he will sigh and call. Yeah, that is the kind of the default sigh and call. And we'll give Big Daddy Chaz all the time he needs. Is going to make the call. It's a $14,100 pot. Are you kidding me? $14,100 pot here for Slicer. Flops a set of 6s and then gets value here on the turn and the river. And a tough hand for Chaz. If you were in his position, would you have made the call? Obviously, you see the cards. We're all experts here. But that's the tough part about this game. John here with the straight draw and also the overpair. Santa with a whole lot going on. Trip 10s now here for John. You can either hit a king or a 10. Bones here with queens full is going to go just, I think, under pot here for 600. Whoa, John's going to put in a raise here. Does Bones maybe think that John could be doing this with Queen 10? Maybe 10-3. There are some universes where you may expect quad 10s to be here in the spot, but I just, if that's going to happen, you're just going to accept that it's going to be a cooler. So John G raising here to 1.3, only drawing to a 10 or king. Bones putting in 2.6K. John going to call here. Going to need a miracle river here in a $6,000 bomb pot. It's quad queens for Bones. This may allow John to get away from the hand, though. Because at this point, again, he's just got trip 10s with a king. He does not have a boat. For those who maybe don't understand, Omaha is going to be 1.8K to call, though, into a 6K pot. So it's most likely a fold, but once you got a ton of money piled up in here for Big John, he does enter in the possibilities. There are a small number of times that it could be maybe busted clubs, but I would be shocked if bones would play that way on a particularly paired board and how this all played out. So it is going to be a fold. Okay, we've got JC raising to 100, Dante calling. John going to put a 3-bet in here to 300. Indigo Joe's raising hell from Dubuque. Joseph Avalos, are you from Iowa? Yes, I am. Northeast Iowa. Very, very, very northeast Iowa. Postville, Iowa. 1,800 strong. John, Little John, 3-betting here with Ace King. JC and Dante here with Queen 10 of Hearts and 9-6 of Hearts. Ooh, look at that flop. Top pair and a flush draw for Dante. JC here with a straight draw and flush draw. John with no pair. I don't think JC has any intention of checking this back once he gets this board for his particular type of hands. Bet is 700. And Dante here with a check shove with more than the best of it here, as JC basically going to be dead to a gutter ball or a running 9-6 apparently. So flush hits there. And a 9er on the end here for the first board goes to Dante. We'll try the second. It's going to be another heart. And that is a $5,900 pot here for David Dante. And a tough one there for JC that tried to pump that one in position and then get check raised all in for a relative small amount based on what was in there. All right, here we go. 4 ways. Jack 7 deuce. Top pair, top kicker for JC. Santa here with a jack with a king. And a lot of hopes and dreams for everybody else. All right, 4-ball here on the turn, so JC here with the jack, Santa with the jack. Seven ball on the end. It's now going to be 1,500 big bet here by JC. We can get checked too. I think we've seen JC mostly playing snug post-flop. I'm not saying pre-flop, like he's going to be taking some hands, but he hasn't chased any ridiculous draws here in this session. I don't feel like he's been calling very lightly to a degree that we may have seen just a smidge in the past in some of these games. So for Santa, this is just like a terrible feeling to have to call here. But JC's image is that I think that it's very tough to fold Jackson 7s with a king in that particular spot. And you're just like, dude, Mike, you're incredibly handsome, and my mom and my sister all think you're incredibly amazing, but I want to see the action here. Like, that's not going to happen. And by that, I mean you missing the hand. Those other things definitely do happen, like, all the time. All right, here we go. Ace-Queen versus Queen-10 suited. Oh, wow, look at this. JC here with the flop flush. Redraw to the 9 of diamonds slicer. Flopping a gut shot, and the ace-high diamond draw is a bet at 200. Yeah, we typically have at least the mics of the tables on, so apologize you've not been able to feature that. Oh, my God! Are you kidding me? Straight flush versus an ace-high flush. Yeti cooler of the month. I don't see how Slicer doesn't just lose 8.5K here on this hand. 1,200 here in the middle right now. Slicer here with the ace-high flush is beaten only by queen 10 of diamonds or 10-8 of diamonds. This is so sick. Now how does JC decide to proceed forward? He is going to double check. It's like, do I really have this hand? And stoic in the face of turning the immortal nuts here, the straight flush. Slicer drawing dead. He is just going to call here. And we will go here to our river, and we'll see if there's a card that just forces everybody to pile it in. As long as I think Slicer avoids a board pair, I just can't foresee him getting away from the hand. So 2.1 in the middle after the bet called. Let's go here to the river. And whatever it's coming out, it is going to be leading to a bet here by Slicer to at least... Okay, it's going to be a 7, so it is a board pair. So this may give Slicer a slight window to find the fold button. JC here hoping Slicer has a boat here. Or hoping he has quads. And now JC going to be putting in the raise. What size will he choose? Probably at least... Is he going to at least probably put in 4K? This is unreal. Ace-high flush versus a straight flush on TCH Live. JC here just trying to name his price. What's the biggest that he can get paid here? Is it just going to go rip? It's going to go all in for 8.1K. But I mean, I guess now with a board pair, it gives him a lot more reason to at least pump the brakes here a bit. Yeah, so that's a good point here. That, again, highest VPIP on the table, so... Yeah, but... I mean, the thing is, once you get to the river and the board has run out specifically like this, well, it could have been a flop set. I mean, the bet sizes weren't that significant that JC is just like, oh, okay, I've got to fold all my weak hands here that may just still need to catch up. But it's, yeah, this saves potentially Slicer some money here. But he's understandably going to take his time to think about this because the unprofessional, maybe some sickos are bluffing the queen of diamonds. I mean, like, he's going to have that thought go his brain. And he's just going to realize, I mean, he's thinking about it here with the $500 pink chips. And, I mean, if the board does not pair on the end, it's probably going to be a quicker call. But now, again, Slicer can talk himself into finding some folds. And, you know, I've talked about it here on the stream ad nauseum to a degree that sometimes river aggression is just so rare to find in these spots that it's purely a bluff. Like, I think there are some players capable of making moves against smart-thinking players that could be indicative of hands that an ace-high flush could beat, but you can tell this is just painful. He's going to fold. And that is a win there for JC.